Good morning, everyone. This is Jennifer Tebow, and I'm so happy to rejoin the ranks and the airwaves. Today is a Friday, January 24th, 2014, and I've got a deeper voice in 2014. I am actually coming off of the throes of, I'm not going to concede that it was a cold. I'm sticking with the idea that it's just bad allergies during this very tumultuous weather season, winter season that we are having. So I just was like, you know what, even though my voice sounds not quite like I would like it to, I was just really inspired to talk about the word of the day, which is really my word for the year, which is portfolio. Many people have heard this word in many different industries, referenced in many ways. But when we add the word income in front of it, income portfolio, it takes on the meaning that I intend for all of 2014 for myself. One of the biggest questions I think I've had in my adult life is, what do you do? And it absolutely cracks me up because in the early part of my career, I really didn't have an answer. And, I could tell them the projects that I was working on, but I was unable to articulate that glue that bound everything together that could really tell you the answer to what do I do. So before I get to that, all important question that people want to know, I want to back up for a moment and let's just talk about what society expects from that question. That question, what do you do, expects a very definitive answer. I do this, I do that. The funny part of this is that for whatever reason, society understands when you do one thing, but they do not understand when you do several things. Society believes when you do several things that you are not focused. Society wants to believe that when you do several things, you don't really know what you want to do, or that you're potentially not good in several things. And that's the way the blueprint has been laid for everyone. When they ask the question, what do you do? There's an expectation that what you do is one thing and one thing only. If you can't give an answer, or if your answer has too many things in it, then obviously you don't do much. And it just cracks me up because if you look at some of the most powerful, successful people in this world, they don't do one thing, but they are given one major broad word. Oprah Winfrey, she's a media mogul. Now, does media mogul describe the idea that she has executive produced countless number of shows? She's produced movies, she's acted, you could just go on and on and on. But we give her the title of mogul, broadcasting mogul, media mogul, things of that nature. Ryan Seacrest, who literally does a million things, okay? These radio shows, TV shows, all kinds of things. But what do we say? Well, he is a mogul, right? We give one word, and society accepts for those people that it's okay for them to do multiple projects. But when you bring it down to a more personal level, to those people that you run across in the grocery store, at a networking event, when you ask them what do they do, if they literally listed multiple projects, you'd look at them like they were an alien, like they were not from this planet. And I just find that odd. So I think the disconnect comes into play with how you describe what you do. That's extremely important. It sets the stage for how society accepts it. We accept Ryan Seacrest. We accept Oprah Winfrey. So it's time to be able to accept you. It's time for people to be able to accept me. Those people who do a lot of different things. So I'm inspired by that because I've been glancing at my lovely LinkedIn page, which is linkedin.com/Jennifer Tebow, glancing at that page. And I said, my profile doesn't really acknowledge half of what I do and half of what I've done in this career. What I tended to document for the purpose of LinkedIn was what society would accept. All of the consultant professional roles that I have played. And I've played many of those roles, and I am ever grateful for the opportunities that each of those companies extended to me. And I am very proud of the work that I did in each of those organizations. But is that all that I do or all that I did? Absolutely not. But I just thought people will be a bit confused by that idea. The reality is I was probably more so confused in how do I represent this so that people understand me better and what leads and drives why I do certain projects. So yes, I do have these diversity researcher background, and I've done international research for major organizations, and I've advised global corporate boards, and I've consulted and helped to professionally develop people from all facets of life. So yes, that's a very strong part of my career. I'm proud of it. But also, I have done some broadcasting work. And so I'm very proud of that too. My first job in doing anything in the public eye was around 5 years old when I first did a commercial, and then 6, I did a national ad campaign. So I've had a little bit of experience from a long time ago, although I don't want to say too long ago, but I've had a taste of a lot of different forms of media for a good portion of my life. And of course it helps. I have a family that's got a great background in radio broadcasting as well. So that's kind of helpful when you have a Hall of Fame uncle in your hip pocket. And my dad was pretty great too. So I've got all these things, and I used to host a show that became pretty popular in the United States and Canada. It was a sports show with Damon Allen. So shout out to Damon Allen as well. We did a lot of different things. And so people go, okay, that's a little different from diversity research and advising and those things. She's a sports radio show. And, I've helped many, many players transition from their sports player days as an athlete into their next career, whatever it may be, no matter if it stays closely to the sports arena or if it goes in the opposite direction. I'm trying to help as many professional athletes transition successfully as possible. Me as a former athlete myself, I understand being in the throes of the shock of having to transition. It doesn't make sense, but it is exactly what happens. And so I've just tried to be there to help as many of my friends as well as new friends that I meet that are, making that transition, because it really impacts their lives, their families' lives, and just what their future actually looks like. So I've done that too. Okay, so check that box. And then you add up, well, I'm very artistic, and I actually have published 2 albums. I have 2 albums on iTunes that are very artsy, or artsy-fartsy, very artsy, and they are more of spoken word. They are the things that are within me, and to be able to describe them in a different way. I've also filmed a lot of footage toward a documentary that is designed to really reflect what's going on with professional football players, both active and retired, and their struggle to have their benefits awarded to them. And it is quite a struggle. So I've done that too. So I've got all this broadcast equipment and photography equipment and lights and all of these things. And I have flown all over the country, or driven. I drove to D.C. from Texas once, flown all over to broadcast those things and capture it and give it back to the world so that people can really get a better idea and a sense for what's happening. So I have given a window into a world that sometimes the media, mainstream media, doesn't always show you. And that was very important to me too. So I've got that in my hip pocket. So how the heck do you tell somebody that, right? I'm sitting down in front of my LinkedIn and I'm going, how do I tell people? Oh, and by the way, I have an apparel company, an embellished apparel company that's doing very well. that was started almost 2 years ago, just as an overgrown hobby, more so than anything. I did not take it as seriously as I probably should from day one. I did not believe it was going to grow at the rate that it grew, but it has, and it's just kind of been amazing. I just sent some of our garments to London, and it's just kind of like a really cool thing to see that people all over the world are logging in every day to look at the garments, place orders, tell me, their feedback. It's just absolutely awesome to see. We sell totally online, don't have any sort of physical retail shop. And it's just amazing to watch that unfold. And we're in several online marketplaces. Very, very good at marketing. Now, keep in mind, my undergrad degree was in marketing with an emphasis on retail. So it does all make sense to me. It kind of was like riding a bike when I jumped into this. And I felt like I magically knew how to write a description for a product, or how to select the design. And it's not so much magic, but I can thank Texas A&M for that background. And I was actually part of the Stanley Marcus Retailing Society at A&M. Shout out to them. Hopefully they're still around. It was actually funded as part of the Marcus family, Neiman Marcus, all of those wonderful people. So I've had a great background, and it never left me apparently, and that's doing well. So how do I tell people that I do all these things and they don't think that I am just, full of it? How do I tell people it? Well, the reality is that I am creating an income portfolio. If we didn't learn anything from the past few years, we needed to learn that to have only one stream of income for yourself is very risky. It's very, very risky. I started my career in insurance, and that's the game of risk, right? Insurance is insuring a potential risk that if it happens, if it comes to fruition, it is a problem that you don't want to deal with. So you pay for insurance to cover that potential problem if it were to ever happen. Well, and it's very risky to have only one income stream. It's very, very risky. Ask the countless number of people who were laid off because their companies had to downsize or even close. It's risky. If that risk, in fact, becomes a problem, you've got a major problem on your hands. I can't tell you that that's the reason why I created multiple income streams for myself, just kind of following my own interest. It's just that I constantly stay moving. I just follow my own interests, and I try to match those interests with something that's going to give me some level of a return on that interest. I do have mortgages to pay, those kinds of things, but but that's the real reason. But I look up and I say, I've really created this income portfolio. It's really what I've done. And it's just kind of an amazing thing to see at the end and manage. And so now I'm at the point of wanting to bring back into the fold some of the projects that have become dormant for a year or two. And I thought, wow, how do I explain to people that I would like to grow my embellished t-shirt company this year, an apparel company? I would like to complete my football documentary. I would like to relaunch some radio hosting projects and relaunch some webinar broadcasting projects. How do I say that? Well, I just did. But more importantly, it's about really unfolding what that portfolio looks like and where I'm headed. Ultimately, and this goes back to the same basic thing I've said for years, I'm interested in connecting people, places, and resources. People information, and resources. People information and resources. And that's that's really what guides everything that I do. If you look at the embellished apparel company that I have, which is the t-shirt makers, if you look at it, most of the designs are sports mom designs. So I'm connecting people with resources. Hey, you want to go out and say, I'm a proud basketball mom or baseball mom or whatever it is. Most people don't know how to get it, especially in smaller towns. They don't have great design. So I'll offer that. So connecting people, information, and resources, that's what drives what I do. If you want to call that mogul, fine. That's your word, not mine. If you want to call it busy all the time, great, your word, not mine. But the reality is, what do? I do a lot. But I connect people, information, and resources. And I launch businesses and or for-profit projects that help me accomplish that goal. That's what I do. It's not the norm. I don't have one single solitary job, and that's not going to ever happen in my life. I find that to be a bit dangerous and risky for myself and for my family to only have one thing. But that's okay. That's okay. I think I'm on a pretty good path if I look at some of the other people around me in this world that have kind of marched down the same path of creating more of a portfolio instead of just a job. They have a pretty good track record. Does it make me busy? Yes. Am I going to lose a little sleep? Probably so. Am I going to be happy when I do close my eyes? Absolutely. So that's the income portfolio. So I encourage you, when you look at your own LinkedIn, to be proud of the projects that you've done, reflect them, but also know how to wrap them up in a nice, neat, pretty bow when somebody asks you, what do you do? And if you can't do that, maybe you're not doing some of the right things you need to be doing for yourself. Because everything you do should be able to be wrapped up in a nice, neat bow. You should be able to deliver it on a platter, if you will, and say, here's what I do: connect people, information, and resources. And because of that, it looks like this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And all of those projects or jobs or businesses that you create, all of those things start making much more sense. So that's it. That's what I wanted to talk about. So thank you for listening to this raspy voice on a Friday. This is one day after my little brother, who's way bigger than me, turned 30 years old. So I'm very happy that he's now hit his 30s and he's got a brand new son. So shout out to him, his wife, my sister-in-law, Pam, and my beautiful nephew, Mr. Dylan. So you guys have a great rest of the week. Really make it amazing. It's not over. We always talk about Friday like, woo, but really, I like to look at Monday being the first day of the week. So you really have 3 whole days, a little better than 2.5 days left to just really max out what you're going to get out of this week, at least in my opinion. So don't let the weekend be the nothing time in the end. Let it be a resounding boom to what becomes something amazing for you. This is Jennifer Tebow. Again, it is Friday, January 24th, 2014. Have a great day.